you so very much. And if you wish to depart now and your seats are available, and you're out there in the lobby and you'd like a seat, there are a few now. There are 4 seats in here, okay?
The next item on the agenda is item number 3 for the Police Department, sponsored by Chief Lysak. 3A is a request to appropriate an expenditure of forfeiture funds for the following project equipment. 1, fixed stationary non-intelligent camera deployment at a program cost not to exceed $18,000. 2, fixed stationary intelligent masked armed camera deployment at a program cost not to exceed $500,000. And 3, task force surveillance vehicle rental at a program cost not to exceed $30,000.
Chief?
Madam Mayor and council members, you have before you 3 requests for use of forfeiture funds. I'll describe each project separately. The first two projects actually work hand in hand with each other. They're actually a overlapping sort of mesh network, if you could envision it. It would cover the city through most of the major thoroughfares with the camera systems. We have utilized this system in a small degree so far. The first one is a fixed stationary camera. Currently that captures tags. We also have a couple cameras that capture people movement. It's been successful in locations we've been able to deploy that. The second one is a fixed stationary, which is an intelligence system. It's known as ALPR, which would capture the license tags of every vehicle that enters Miami Shores. There are a couple of areas where there are not masked armed intersections that would leave a couple gaps. We're still trying to research how we can fill those. But it would give us every single vehicle tag that comes in the city, which will help us with solving crimes and actually create want lists for vehicles that we're looking for. The third program is our Holiday Task Force has been quite successful. However, we're using vehicles that are borrowed basically from the South Florida Money Laundering Task Force. We'd like to continue that task force, and we expect to continue it as much as we can throughout the remainder of the year. We would need vehicles to do that. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Council, questions for the chief?
Thank you, Chief. For the benefit of the audience, this is something that I felt very strongly about and have been very supportive of since being appointed to the council. In fact, it's one of the things I ran on, this sort of network of public safety cameras. And the chief, I've worked with and listened to the chief as he's worked on this over the last 1.5 years, and he's put in a lot of time and effort into this, and I do really appreciate all the effort you and your staff have put in on this. My first question is, and I think this is really for clarity for the audience, this is coming from the forfeiture fund, correct? What sorts of things can the forfeiture fund be used to fund ongoing operations, or is it just for one-time capital requests?
It's not really for funding ongoing costs. It's more for special programs, one-time costs, or initiation of a program. So that would be what this falls under, the initiation of a program. This is within the permissible uses for federal forfeiture funds.
And another follow-up is, what is the overall balance of our forfeiture fund? Are we going to be severely depleting it if we make this full investment? Do you know what that full balance is right now?
The current fund sits at about $1.3 million, give or take. I have to actually look at the exact figures, but it's right at about $1.3 million. Not all of that is under the same rules. Some of that is under the state guidelines, which are a little more restrictive. We have a little bit of funding in that. We use that for different programs that we support through in-kind gifts to inform families and other programs that we support.
Okay. And the last question I had is, are we inventing or reinventing the wheel here, or have other jurisdictions used this type of system with success in identifying suspects and preventing crime or deterring crime or anything like that?
There are other agencies that use this. As we've discussed before, we started looking at this about 5 years ago, give or take. The problem at that particular time was it was very cost prohibitive. Initially, its entry in the market was, for us, the program we composed was about $1.4 million to do that, with an ongoing recurring cost of about $200,000 to $300,000. There are a number of cities nearby that have implemented to varying degrees. Some of that is vendor specific. There have been vendors that have gone under installing this system in a couple cities. The city that I usually talk about most is Lighthouse Point. Up in Broward, they have a very extensive network. It has been responsible for a number of good catches after the fact.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm certainly for the things that you suggested. What is your feeling about enhancing lighting on certain streets? Because I know some of our residents feel that their streets are a little dark.
Part of that is really how you would like the communities to show. There are lighting fixtures out there that don't necessarily compromise the environment or your view of what you see. Lighting is a component of CEPTED, which is crime prevention through environmental design. So lighting in certain places is effective. However, I can't say that it's a cure-all and solve-all, and the reason I say that is there's a study that I read concerning schools, particularly schools. Most schools leave their lights on all the time. However, this particular study, which was small, so I don't know that it's significant, however, did say that schools that had no light at night were better off in preventing crime and vandalism at night because the subjects would have to bring flashlights, which draws other people's attention. So that's really a policy decision for the council. Lighting does have an effect on where criminals can hide and things like that. However, we have done some things recently to enhance our ability to see at night. I'll leave it at that. Where our officers are able to see through the darkness.
I know that certain residents have spoken out and certainly spoken to me about the fact that they feel that some of the streets are not as lighted as they would hope for. And I didn't know whether perhaps you were also surveying and looking, and I don't like the word survey, as many of you know, but nevertheless evaluating certain areas that might have better lighting. It was my hope many, many, many years ago that the entrance coming in from I-95 to Miami Shores would have the same kind of lighting that 103rd Street has. Unfortunately, I was unsuccessful 4 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, because our county people did not feel that, for instance, the aesthetics of 103rd were needed on 95th Street, even though, as far as I'm concerned, that also is a major entrance to our community. That has to do with aesthetics, not with safety necessarily. But I know that some of our alleyway entrances in our smaller streets are a little dark at night. And as we are encouraging people to bike ride, and to use the streets, and certainly I live in a community, or we all live in a community, but I live in an area where people walk a lot. They walk at night.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I just wanted to ask if Mr. Benson had some enlightening things to say about lighting, and he could maybe address what you're saying more than perhaps the chief could at this point. So, Mr. Benson,
thank you, Madam Mayor. It's been about 10 days ago now. My staff and I had a sit-down with FPL and our municipal rep. We discussed all kinds of various lighting issues. We're waiting on them to put a package together for us. Obviously, we're a community that has a lot of trees, and we value our tree canopy. So going out there and wholesaling, trimming our tree canopy back that could, damage the aesthetics of our community is not an option. We're looking at types of lighting that may be put in lower and go under the tree canopy, trying to perhaps retrofit some of the lights that we have now. And so we're looking at all those different options, and when FPL responds back to us, we will give you a report and let you know where we're at and what the costs are associated with that program.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
any other questions for the chief?
I move to approve.
A second that.
Okay, motion to approve in a second. Sir, I'd like to ask for public comment, but I would also like to say to everyone who's speaking tonight that the public comment is not a question and answer session. And so therefore, if you'd like to make a comment, we would be happy to hear your comment. Okay?
Question and answer, when would that be the opportunity?
Well, right now, the council has the opportunity to ask questions, and afterward, you can ask the chief any questions that you wish. Okay? And one-on-one. Thank you. Okay. Could you have to approach and have to say your address, please.
Ignacio Roy, 374 Northeast 104th Street. The comments that I have was the initiation of the program is what I hear, but not the maintenance cost. So I'd like to put that on record to find out what it would cost to maintain this kind of fixed lighting. And also vendor specific is what I hear. My field is procurement and acquisition. When I hear vendor specific, I'm seeing sole source. So how will this person be ready to get such a huge contract? I'd like to just understand that a little bit. And for the camera, I don't have a problem with the camera, but most of the crimes will happen with people on foot, hidden in the driveway, and hitting people. So registering every car in the shores, not sure. Or you think that would be?
Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is John Garcia. As the chief knows, we're recently a victim of an assault in a house about 2 months ago. And 105, 169 Northwest 104th Street. And I appreciate the efforts to include cameras. However, I think that more policemen on the street and more cars will also help a lot. I think cameras will help to solve the problem after the fact, but we can't know. I mean, we have cameras in our house. They were not able to help anything with the situation. Our neighbors have cameras. Nothing turned out from that. So although I support 100% the efforts to include more surveillance and cameras, it doesn't really deter a lot of the crimes that happen on foot, on cars. I mean, we were followed from 119th Street. We were, assaulted at one point, and it was a terrifying experience. And I think the number one priority for the community should be investing in the safety of everyone, whatever that takes.
Thank you. Thank you for comments. Anyone else? Public comment?
I just want to, my name is Julio Martinez, 130 Northeast Avenue Street. If I understood clearly, what the cameras does is just to give you another tool to, to look into the camera and go to, that's what I understood. I know that you can clarify that. That we're talking two different things, I guess. The questioning is different what I'm proposing. So I'm in favor of the camera. Because we've got too many people coming in and out. So might as well we get a tool that we can really start the investigation through that. That's what I think. I think that there's two things that we did because of that.
Thank you.
I don't know, the chief can clarify that.
Anyone else? Public comment on this item of the agenda? Hearing none, I'll close public comment. Any more council comments?
Yeah. Madam Mayor, just wanted to comment. I don't think that the camera and your concerns, sir, are mutually exclusive, right? I think we can have the cameras. I think they can help, again, give another tool to our police department when it comes to solving crimes. But your point is well taken. And, I know the chief has looked at, and we have ramped up task force to look into these assaults, to some of these public safety issues. Very cognizant of that. And so far, it seems to be having an effect. Whether it's gone far enough, I think we need to continue to watch and see if it's done enough. But to me, I don't see these as, one or the other, right? Because the forfeiture funds, again, are used for these one-time type outlays or starting up a program, those sorts of things, as opposed to ongoing funding of an officer and that sort of thing. So, but I feel very sorry for what you had to go through. I feel terrible about that. And, but I wanted to make clear that I think that this is something that can help in the future. So.
And to speak to that, I've been a victim of crime myself, so I extend my full sympathies to anyone who has been. And to address another public comment, I'd like to read that the recurring annual maintenance cost is projected for the license plate reader service is projected to be nearly $70,000 annually. It is in the document. All right, thanks.
And Madam Mayor, I also have a question. Chief, are you planning to have a RFQ for this?
Yes.
Okay. And what is the time frame for that? So we're aware.
We're going to be working simultaneously with the RFQ and some logistics. One of the things we have to get is we have to get provision from Miami-Dade County to attach to the MassStars. And there are cities that have already done this, so it's just probably some sort of formality to go through, and I'll be working with city manager trying to get that accomplished.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you. I did want to comment a little bit about crime. In our last meeting, I said I would bring up crime as a discussion item for this agenda, but because one of our residents, who also happens to be a captain at the City of Miami, was unable to come today, I decided to push it off for our next meeting. I think it's February, I don't know when it is, 6th, I think, 7. So look forward to a discussion item on crime for our next council meeting. Everybody's welcome to come. Okay.
Thank you. We're ready to call the question on the forfeiture funds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed. Thank you, Chief, very much for your efforts.